Shot in front of a live audience at Margarita Republic, it's Shots from the Bench. And now your hosts, Bob Wiltman and Bob Murphy.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Shots from the Bench. It's only sports talk, and all opinions, of course, are both fabulous and flawed. We are here at Margarita Republic in the beautiful Spanish Springs section of the Villages. That's Margarita Republic, where the food, fellowship, and fun are always seated first. I'm Bob Wiltman. My partner is Bob Murphy, and Greg Melanzuk is on the camera, and he's behind the scenes trying to keep sanity. And we are here at Margarita Republic every Monday from 2 to 3. So come on down, over, or up, and join us. After all, we are the only sports talk show in the Villages. And partner, let's get right to the NFC first, or the National Football Conference first. We down to one undefeated team.
Yes,
what do you think?
is.
What do you think of those guys? The Carolina Panthers. They're
Carolina
phenomenal.
Panthers, very good team.
Phenomenal team.
Just Cam Newton and that defense just keep rolling along, don't they?
Everybody's trying to knock them off, and they just keep answering every challenge and every
Redskins
call.
didn't have much of a challenge for them yesterday, 44-16. They just keep going, and but they have, they're playing this week at Dallas. That's an interesting game in a way because with Tony Romo being back and supposedly that's the team that Dallas is supposed to have all season long. So who knows?
That's a huge game, especially because I think, like I said, Dallas has been hanging around. No, they finally got Romo back, but they can't afford to stub their toe on this one. Dallas has to be fired up and be ready to conquer the Kings, so to speak.
Well, if they were ever going to run the table, they better start this week.
That's what I mean.
That's Dallas, because they'd have to run the table to make the playoffs, pretty much.
Well, like we said before off camera, we said 8-8 might do it, and like I said, they win them all. I think they're 9-7. So I think, everybody's going to stub their toe just once. But hey, if they can win this game, that will speak volumes about what Romo means to the Cowboys.
Yeah. And I'm not belittling the Panthers either. I think they could certainly go in there and just spank the Cowboys, but
they've been doing
really,
it.
It's a good barometer to see where Cowboys are at with Romo at quarterback.
They've been doing it. The Carolina's been answering the challenge all week long, and frankly, Dallas has been kind of down and out because they haven't had their quarterback. Now they got their quarterback back. I love their offensive line. I think Dallas has maybe the best offensive line in the NFC, and I'm just excited about the game. I think it'll be a great football game.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, I think the best game from the NFC this week was last night, was the Cardinals and the Bengals.
Outstanding game.
It's pretty much the last team standing is going to be the winner because both teams could score almost at will.
And guys were dropping like flies. I mean, it seemed like every other play they were carting somebody off.
Well, it was the best offense against the best defense in the NFL, and Cincinnati's defense against, Cardinals' offense, and offense won out.
Well, that, like I said, that was about as exciting a game as you're going to get. But and like I said, it gives me a chance to go off on my rant, and I'll only do this. I'm just going to do it one time. But here's a perfect example.
Prevent defense, right?
Well, no, I'm going to say with a minute to go in the game. You've got to find a way to eat some clock up because sure enough they kicked the field goal and in a minute they went less than a minute they go 45 yards to kick a field goal.
I heard a lot of the other shows talking about this national shows talking about this. Why did they throw that ball to AJ Green in the end zone? Well, probably because they're on the road and they're going for the win.
I agree. Well, I don't have any problem with that. But
going for the win, I understand what you're saying. You don't want to leave anything left for Carson Palmer to come back at you, especially being at his old team and all. But they went for the win. I can't begrudge them that.
No, I don't. I really don't begrudge them. I just wish that they would have found a way to eat about 25 seconds off the clock.
Sure.
Only just because, there's a perfect example. 3 snaps, couple pitches to Fitzgerald, and they're in field goal range. And I really enjoyed I didn't enjoy it, but I thought it was an interesting call. I'd never seen that before. I don't know if you saw the 5-yard penalty at the end. I guess one of the guys from Cincinnati was purposely trying to disrupt the cadence.
Oh, yeah, what he was doing.
He got a 5-yard penalty.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
He was, offensive lineman was yelling out the, what do you call it, the count.
Yeah.
The
The cadence for the
what the quarterback's supposed to be doing, trying to get the offensive line to jump, and it's luckily that referee was right behind him.
Yeah.
And he come up and threw his flag and pointed right at him. That was fun. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I'm sure it's happened.
I'm sure it has, but I didn't. In fact, the announcer, I guess Collins, he right away said that's what that penalty is going to be for, and I went, well, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, we'll flip over real quick to talk about the other undefeated team, and that is of course everybody's New England Patriots. They've got a really, really, really big challenge. This is a chance for Buffalo to really, really make a big step and a big statement. And it's
Are you
been a long
talking about
time.
the loss of Edelman, the wide receiver, because they've depleted? They're more depleted than they were.
But they have somebody. They'll sign somebody. They'll sign Wes Welker. Somebody will be out there that can catch 8-yard passes.
Right.
But I'm just saying that should be a.
If there's anybody that can get it to him, it would be Tom Brady.
That's right.
But that certainly does affect them. I mean, eventually, you can keep trotting out all these different bodies and the Patriots keep winning. But eventually, when you start losing players, it's going to catch up to them eventually. There's going to be, they're 9-0 or 9-0, I guess, and so. But eventually, that's going to, I think, cost them.
Well, I'm with you on that. I was just, and like I said, before we look at next week's games, and there are a lot of them, I want to say thanks to the Eagles for participating. I've never seen a team look like they were less enthused to be playing football than the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday.
I was listening to the Philadelphia coach.
Kelly.
Kelly. He was saying they were wondering why he didn't yell at his players. He goes, these are grown men. What do you expect me to do? They're not high school kids. They know what they did right and what they did wrong. I mean, I don't need to yell at them like that. But 45-17 is quite a beatdown.
That was a humbling
But I'll tell
experience.
you, Tampa Bay is really rising in the NFC. I know you jumped to the AFC real quick, but
no, I have no problem talking about Winston. I think he's really starting to develop.
He's the third rookie in NFL history to throw for 5 touchdown passes in a game. Matthew Stafford was one of the other ones, and the other guy was like way back in the day. So pretty impressive for a rookie quarterback.
Well, I think that's fine. Hopefully, it looks to me like Winston's going to get a little farther than Stafford has.
Yeah.
But no, I was telling you off camera. I think Winston. What's impressing me is his guts. He'll stand in the pocket. Right. He'll get creamed and wait till the last second to throw passes. And he's also nimble enough to get out.
He got off to a slow start this year. He was really kind of shaky a couple of games there, and really made some adjustments. And the coaching staff has worked with him, and he really looks like the player that they hoped he'd be.
You know what? I was skeptical. As I told you, I was skeptical, but he's won me over. I was likening him to McNair. He's obviously a little more nimble than McNair, but just the fact that he has leadership qualities and he's got guts, and I think the team's really going to rally around him. I think that he's going to really prove himself to be an excellent number 1 draft choice.
Sure, absolutely. Another game that was highlighted going in this week, the big game between Green Bay and Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
At Minnesota. Vikings had a 1-game lead going in, and now they're tied. Green Bay won the game 30-13, but the Vikings coming into that game were the least penalized team in the NFL, and they were penalized 10 or 11 times for over 100 yards. Can you imagine being penalized over 100 yards?
Well, that's a lack of discipline.
That's kind of like shooting yourself in the foot a little bit there.
It's a lack of discipline, yeah. I'm sure that was driving the coach absolutely berserk.
And, Adrian Peterson, they were keying in on him, trying to stop the run, making Peterson throw, and then when he threw in all those situations, then they were blitzing him like crazy. And so that didn't help. What really drives me crazy the kid has a lot of talent.
You're talking about Bridgewater?
Bridgewater has a lot of talent, Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, his stats were good and everything else, but the thing that really bothers me when I watch him play is, and I'm sure the coaching staff, I hope the coaching staff has something to say, he drops back and he sees the rush coming and he starts running backward, and he takes instead of taking a 5-yard loss or getting rid of the ball, he's taking a 13 to 15-yard loss. That just knocks. That's a drive stopper right there.
Well, yeah.
You're not gonna. Then you wind up getting an 8-yard gain or a 10-yard gain or something, and recovering from that, and then you're punting it at 4th and 5 or whatever.
Well, that's a good observation. I've seen him do that a few times, and I agree with you. I think in
Throw
some
away.
instances, what you got to do is you either got to step into the pocket, and if you get creamed, you get creamed.
But when that kid's had time to throw, he's making beautiful throws.
Oh, I mean,
he looks.
They're 8-3.
He's on TV right now.
He's doing something right. But I'll tell you what. Let's talk real quick about the big matchup games that are becoming this week. I wrote some down, and I thought one of the ones that's going to make a big statement is the Giants at Washington. I think that Washington has been very inconsistent, but has a real nice nucleus going for them. The Giants, I just think, are one of the elite teams in the NFC, but they just their clock management skills. I just scratch my head.
I think the Giants should win that game.
Yeah,
I mean would be my favorite. I think the Redskins have just been all over the place, and they're in disarray right now. Actually, I look at the Giants as probably remember we were talking, they're 5-5. They could be 8-2.
Oh, absolutely.
And going into this game, I would definitely be leaning toward them.
Well, you got that game, and another game that I think is very, very important. Well, we see Tampa Bay on the rise, and they're going to be playing Indy, and Indy right now is tied with the surprising Houston Texans for first place. Tampa Bay needs that game big time to stay in the playoff
Two
picture.
similar teams right there.
Very, very similar.
5-5, moving up the board, getting in contention for some of those final playoff spots.
No question.
So. Absolutely.
We got that game.
Good
We got Miami at the Jets, and if Miami goes down on that one, then we can thank Miami for participating this year. I thought they had a pretty good run going, but they seem to have stubbed their toe big time.
Another up and down team that just looks to be more down than up right now.
Well, you got that, and finally the big one I want to talk about is New England at Denver. I guess Denver still won't have the quarterback back, but
Brock Osweiler.
Well, if Brock can carry them, but it'll be interesting to see if New England stubs its toe against Buffalo. I think they'll take it out on Denver, but they also I think quietly want to.
We had 3 backups in the AFC lead teams to wins yesterday. We had Brock Osweiler leading the Broncos over the Bears 17-15. Wasn't an unbelievable win, but he got the win. Better than losing with Peyton. And then you had Matt Hasselbeck leading the Colts over Atlanta, which was a big win.
And who was our third one?
And the third one was the Texans. T.J. Yates.
Oh, that's right, T.J.
Helping to beat the Jets.
I'll tell you what, we're running out the clock. Another poor clock management. We're running out for the first quarter, but we'll be back to talk about some of those third-string quarterback performances and get into college football and throw some trivia at you right after this. We are back with the second quarter. We got the ball on our own 20, and we're ready to go. The second quarter are shots from the bench here at Margarita Republic in the beautiful Spanish Springs section of the Villages. And, Bob, something you'd brought up in the first quarter, and I wanted you to elaborate a little on it because I think it's going to have a very, very significant impact on the schedule the rest of the way for some of these teams, are the performances of these quarterbacks that have kind of been thrown to the lions, as it were, and a lot of them have been having pretty good success. Tell me a little bit about Osweiler's performance, and I know you said Yates. Because I didn't get to see much of any of those games.
I don't have the stats in front
of me. I don't need the stats, but I mean, they.
But absolutely, he was adequate. Made some big throws. Didn't make the big mistake. I mean, Peyton Manning's been making a lot of mistakes last few weeks. Hasn't shown any arm strength whatsoever. Looks like there's something wrong with his arm. He came off that big interceptions last week. Had 4 interceptions, and they had to do something. So and this kid's could be the answer in the
well.
They
had to get him healthy, but I don't even know the prognosis for Manning for the rest of the year.
That's going to be interesting. If they feel as though he can come back, but are you going to bring him back? I'm sure there'll be some people that want him to come back, but. That's an interesting decision.
Well, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. But
you want a quarterback. If Osweiler goes in there and makes hardly any mistakes, and yet that defense is keeping you in the game and your running game and all, you might want to not keep him benched. I mean, that's what else can you do?
You make a good point. I mean, that's a win.
I wouldn't want to make that decision, but
that's a win on the road for a rookie quarterback. So.
Yep.
Good for him. I think that's fantastic. And you said there were two other.
Well, Matt Hasselbeck,
yeah,
the 40-year-old.
God bless Matt Hasselbeck. Yeah, that's right.
It seems like he led the Colts over the Atlanta Falcons, and that was quite a nice win for them. Atlanta seems to be falling, and everybody keeps saying for years now, Matt Ryan is is that second tier quarterback. He's really good, but really, we've been playing for a lot of years now. I don't see it. Man. I really don't. He's not leading them to anything.
Well, he's been up and down. That's for sure. I mean, he'll have a great statistical game, and then I see him throw
he's supposed to be. I mean, there are times. I mean, I think he had that one really good year, and but ever since then he's been very, very up and down, like you're saying, very unreliable.
Well,
and then this other guy for the Texans, T.J. Yates, also backup. I think he was a third-string quarterback, to be honest with you, and he did a good job.
Well, that's right, yeah, because their second-string quarterback got hurt too.
Yeah.
Was it Hoyer? I can't remember. Yeah, but one of them, I knew he was their third string, and hey. They're only playing for the division title, so I mean the guy's been thrown into the and so far so good.
But the Texans' defense, is just with J.J. Watt.
Very impressive, no question.
Probably the most dominant defensive player in NFL, maybe NFL history, which is quite a statement to say, but you can certainly say it about him. And he's leading that defense, and they're just crunching teams. And again, Yates, how good does he have to be? I mean, just not make mistakes. Be proficient at moving the ball, moving the chains, and the running game, and they're right in there. They're a team on the rise.
Well, they're right there now. So you've got Hasselbeck leading the Colts at 5-5, and you got Yates leading Houston at 5-5, and Yates they're going to be playing New Orleans, and Indy's got Tampa Bay. So we'll see if they can keep the roll going, but that's an impressive performance by three backup quarterbacks in must-win games. So my hat goes off to them. But I'll tell you what, as we segue into college football now, I want to thank my Oklahoma State Cowboys for participating. They let one slip away from me. You can only let the other team score 45 points and win so often. This time they didn't score enough. But
this time of year is the time of year you don't get away with losses. I mean, beginning of the year you can recover from them. You have a whole season to keep winning. But now if you lose one, you're in bad shape.
No question.
For the top four, that is anyway.
But let's take a real quick look at you got my team that I've been pushing only because nobody was talking about it is now up to 3, Iowa. So you got to give them credit, and they got Clemson and Alabama with them, and that fourth spot is now open for everybody and anybody. I think Notre Dame's got it right now. But let's look at some of these one-loss door knockers. You got Notre Dame, you got Michigan State, Baylor, Oklahoma, Florida Gators. The Florida Gators. How about that? How about going into overtime against Florida Atlantic?
I know, I couldn't believe that. So should
they
be moving up?
They won it. Well, like I said, a win's a win.
I know a win's a win, but you know what? That's a win that shouldn't have happened that way. Not at home, not to Florida Atlantic, not in overtime. I don't care.
Yeah, you're right about that.
You're looking at teams that you want to move up into that top 4 slot, and Florida has a lot of work to do that. They have to beat Florida State, and they have to beat Alabama to do that. I thought that doesn't give me hope that they're going to do that.
That's a big mountain to climb. Yeah, that may make it difficult for them, but
Notre Dame and Iowa moving into those 4 spots, or top 4 spots. You've got Notre Dame playing at Stanford this week.
That's a real challenge.
Notre Dame barely beat BC 19-16.
Yeah,
and they didn't look good doing it.
See, well, they've had about 3 or 4 of those games, and so the luck of the Irish and all that. I mean, they obviously have got some good.
I'm looking at Stanford,
good players in good positions, but I think that they're going to have real trouble beating Stanford.
And then you're like
Stanford.
Oklahoma and Michigan State, looking at moving into that 4th spot.
Now they can. Heck yeah, they can. Sure. And here's my question to you, and we didn't talk about this, but does this mean Ohio State's done?
Well,
they got a couple more games to go.
That's an interesting team. Obviously fallen from the top 4 there with their loss to Michigan State. Michigan State was a tough game, very, very tough game. But you know what? Ohio State last year played as a team. Everything was together. They were hungry, you know. This year, a lot of times when teams win a championship, they're not quite as hungry as the year before. There's been a lot of dissension on this team, controversy, with J.J. Barrett being suspended, and you had injuries and quarterback controversies. Now you have guys saying, "I deserve more throws my way." I deserve this. I deserve.
Well,
that.
I see the runner said he felt. But you know what? If I'm a coach, I want a running back that wants the ball. I think I would tell him probably not a great idea to shoot your mouth off after you've just lost a big game. But I mean, but I'm sure he's disappointed because I'm sure he thought he could have made more of an impact. But they looked to me to be having real problems with Michigan State's line. They weren't
got
able
a big tough game this coming week, don't they, against Michigan? That's the game. If they can win that game, they'll stay close enough.
They'll
to
stay
be
right in the hunt. That's what I mean.
For the next couple of weeks. But if they lose the game, of course.
I'm saying if all these teams, and there's a real chance, some of these teams all get to two losses under their belt. I think all of a sudden Ohio State can climb right back into it.
Another game this coming weekend I'm really looking at is Oklahoma State.
That's going to be a shootout. That's going to be so many points scored in that game. You're going to need a calculator.
Here's my prediction. I got a little prediction. I think Notre Dame's going to lose at Stanford. I think Oklahoma is going to beat Oklahoma State.
I agree with that.
I think they're going to move into that fourth spot. Iowa, I don't know who Iowa's playing. I don't know if you know.
They have nothing left.
Nothing?
They've already played 11 games.
So they may stay in
I think
their
they got
position.
Iowa State, which is like a big rivalry, but I don't think that they got anything to be concerned about.
There's no one to challenge Clemson right now, I don't think.
No.
In what's going on there.
No.
But I think that's the key right there. I think if Notre Dame loses to Stanford, you're going to have Oklahoma move in there, or
even how about
State.
Baylor? Baylor could get back.
Could possibly get
Baylor's
in there.
got TCU, right. I think. So that
was a nice win over Oklahoma State.
Yeah, heck yeah, it is. I mean, obviously they got
Baylor's
the players in place.
Situation is wonderful. I mean, they just throw the ball. No matter who they plug in there, they seem to have a good system for their quarterbacks.
They got they got the skill players that can run right by you. So I'm very, very impressed with them.
Yeah.
But like I said, it will be interesting to me to see how this all plays out. But I'm saying I will not be surprised if Ohio State doesn't somehow resurface in this bowl picture. If
there's only one loss, and they're only 8 in the country, so.
3-point loss.
They could certainly get back
to
in the
a
top
top-ranked team. Yeah, it's going to depend on how things unfold. But right now, I'm pretty impressed with everything I've seen. I was just curious. You talked about Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They were playing Boston College. They seem to, and I hate this phrase, but it's a cliche, but they seem to play down to the level of their competition or up to the level of their competition, which I don't think is a good trait, but it seems to be.
You have to know, especially this time of year when you're being watched by the panel on Tuesday nights, the pick them the top 4.
Heck yeah.
But you got to make them. You got to go out there and beat these teams. I mean, I think they're trying. I think I just don't think they've got it. Their offense isn't very prolific.
Well, that's what's hurting them. There's no question about it. Yeah.
And this game against Stanford is so big for them. I mean, here they are, number 4. I don't know. I just don't see them staying.
Well, I'm with you on that prediction. I think we both share that prediction. I have a feeling that that could be their Waterloo.
Yeah. And I like Notre Dame. I'm not against Notre Dame.
I have nothing against them either. But 2 losses will definitely get them out of the picture.
Yep.
And, let's just say, by the same token, they beat Stanford at Stanford. By God, they deserve whatever,
Absolutely.
But
no doubt about it.
But it was a little scary to me to see them play a weak sister like Boston College. Not that any of these teams are all bad. Anything can happen, but they were just fumbling and bumbling with Boston College, and that shouldn't have happened.
Well, this is what the panel is looking for. Impress me enough to put you in the top 4. Now I don't know. They're in the top 4 after beating BC 1960, But you got to. They won the game, so maybe they're giving them another week to see what happens with Stanford. But we'll see.
Well, like I said, that's That's why we love to watch these games, and this is the time of year when everything's really take off. Well, I'll tell you what, the clock's winding down on the first half of Shots from the Bench, and we will sit down with the coach and find out what Greg has to tell us that we have to do better in the second half, and we will be back right after this with more Shots from the Bench.